Yo, what's up everybody? It's me, Robert Muraine, and welcome back to Reactions and Critiques, the show where you submit your dance videos in the comments, and I react and critique them. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the show, everybody, and before we get started, I have a little disclaimer I wanted to go over. If you haven't seen the back catalog of this series and you're just waiting for your own video to get reviewed, don't do that. Go watch the past videos because I won't be covering in the future what I've already covered in the past. So if you want to get all that juicy popping technique and tips and learn all the most you can from this channel, please go check out the past episodes. That being said, let's get into the first video. The first video is coming from Pop and Me, and it's called Waving. Let's react and critique this video. That was really clean speed changes. I like that wave that you leaded with your head. Reminded me of J Smooth. That was nice. I like how you brought that wave all the way down to the floor and then brought it back up your back foot. Very cool. Very dynamic. That is storytelling with your waves. Tip for everyone out there. That's being dynamic. I love the lyrical vibe that you're going. The lyrical vibe that you're going for is very cool. Following the lyrics, but with popping technique, which seems to be in fashion these days. I like that. I like all these waves. Very cool concepts going on. Alright, I'm gonna stop it right here. Pop and Me, thanks so much for submitting. I really like the overall aesthetic of your video. You have nice lighting going on, super dramatic, just like the music, and you're dancing dramatically as well, emotionally, following the lyrics. Your technique, execution, everything is on point actually. Very cool video, respect. And let's get into these critiques. First thing that I've noticed, your feet are pretty much static for the first minute in the video. And I know that I give this tip a lot, but move your feet. Even just the slightest steps and movement and moving around really adds a lot of dynamic to the overall composition of your dance. Now, the second thing I wanted to talk about isn't really something that you absolutely have to add to your style, but something that might help bring out more in your waves and to become more dynamic in your waving. Now, I see most of the time you're leading with your hands or with your head, and I really like that. I think it looks really great. So if you apply that same exact technique of leading with your hands to, let's say, your elbow, and you lead with your elbow, and you have the idea of like this is the head of a snake, and you change the head of the snake to your elbow, and you have that visualized, you could very easily turn your waves backwards instead of going forwards. And you could do the same with any part of your body if you just have that visualization in your head. So I hope you find that technique useful and you could add it to your arsenal of dance moves for the future. And if not, no worries. That's just one for free, let's say. And let's get into the next video. The next video is coming from Konark Kailia, and this is the second video he submitted, and this is the first time that I'm ever going to be reviewing somebody that's already submitted on the show. So I'm super excited to see the progress, and let's react and critique this video. Okay, I just saw an iPhone pop out from behind a tree. there he is. There's the dancer. I like where the camera is positioned. It's a really nice frame you have going here.
You're in trouble now. This thing's going underground. This ain't a place you've been before.
Using the environment. Talk about that a lot. Nice little tutting combo. Got dancing to the lyrics again. Oh no, he lost his earbud. Hate when that happens. I always stop the clip and like, I don't want to continue when that happens and I start all over. But that's just me. I wasted so much footage like that. I'm feeling your tuts. So far that's... Oh, I wish you kept going with them though. Alright, I'm gonna stop it right here, Konark. Thank you so much for submitting. I really liked how you framed your shot. It looks really nice. I like how you're right there in the center of the frame, and I like how the trees just lock you right in the center like that. And then you use the trees as well, which is something that most people just don't do, is use their environment. They always just stay static in one place. And I like how you were using it. You were leaning on it, you were just somehow involved with what was going on around you, and I dug it. So, and I also like the music. So thanks for submitting, and let's get into your critique. The first thing I would say is, let me demonstrate. Isolation. And I would say this is just a universal thing that you can apply to any style of popping, is isolation. And I see you're going again for the robot thing, and you kind of did that in your first video. You're a robot. Let's say your style is robotic animation style. And in this case, if you're doing robotic animation, in my opinion, this is always my opinion, it's subjective, all these critiques, so you don't have to do what I'm saying, but in my opinion, I think your robotic animation style would be a lot cleaner if you isolated more and often. So what I mean by this is, say if you're doing movements with your left arm, you need to be conscious about the arm that's not doing anything. And when I'm popping, I think I'm a lot more conscious of the parts of my body that aren't supposed to be moving than I am of the actual move I'm doing. That's when technique comes into play. That's when those hours of repetition come into play, is when you're out there freestyling and you know that your wave is super clean and isolated, so you don't need to think about it, it just happens. And in that case, if you want it to be super clean, you start to think about the parts of your body that are not moving instead of the good technical wave. So in this case, like I just demonstrated, when you're doing this motion with your hand, you're doing those dime stops, which should be flexed in my opinion. If you saw the last episode, flex your dime stops. Instead of a weak hand, flex them. And then also flex that arm on the side as well, even though it's not doing anything. Now, I know it seems like it wouldn't matter, but actually it does matter, and that's what isolation is, and that's what makes people like Poppin' John and all these other guys super animated looking. They look fake, and that's because they're isolated as hell the whole entire time they're dancing. And I'm not saying that you should be a stiff person the whole time you're dancing, but be aware of loose hands on the side of your body, or like laziness, we can call it. And that's just not being conscious of the rest of your body that's not moving. And that is isolation. And I think the explanation I gave you, you guys could all apply generally to your dancing. So thanks for submitting, Konark. Let's get into this next video. The next video is coming from Joshua Deale. It's called Sharp Movements Water Dragon. Let's react and critique this video. Cool track. Change of pace. Hey, all right, that was a cool little gun sequence. Storytelling. Nice stomping. Nice footwork. I like how you're hitting all these accents like right on point. No anticipation, and that's important. Got the Philip Chabib going on. All right, cool, man. Joshua Deale, thanks for submitting. That was a cool video. I like the vibe of it. It was feel good, uplifting. Like the music. I like the location. It was like street. You got like the hip hop thing going on mixed with like a new style kind of flavor mixed with some popping. I like how you got all these dance styles going on, and I liked your facial expressions. They're really cool. They're really expressive, and your dancing's very expressive, and I dig it. And unlike most videos that are submitted, you had cool footwork. I liked your moves, man. I liked your moves. So let's do some critiquing. So one thing that you could work on if you wanted to is isolation, like I just told Konark in the last video. It's funny because you guys have exactly the same thing going on with your hands. So when you're moving, so say if you're doing like a toe spin, for example, if you're doing your toe spin and you're kind of like, your arms are flying around and your head's looking around and stuff, the toe spin is just not gonna be super clean like it would be, say, if someone like Nonstop did it. Something that Nonstop does really well is he's dancing the whole time. He's conscious of his entire body while he's doing every move he's doing. And that's something I would really work on, is just isolating and being conscious of what you're not moving while you're dancing. And I hope that makes sense. I've kind of over-explained it in this episode, but I think it's a really good tip that everyone should really work on, and I think that both of you guys need to work on considerably, I would say. So I would say that isolation really is one of the things that separates the novices from the pros, I guess you could say, because isolating is really something that's not easy to do because you're focused on making your technique clean. How could I possibly be thinking of the rest of my body at the same time? And that's okay, and it takes time to be able to isolate and think about and control all these parts of your body while at the same time battling or performing or trying to remember a choreography. So the best way you can combat isolation is by repetition and knowing your moves and knowing your foundation, so that way you can concentrate on things like isolating and worrying about the rest of your body while you're dancing. So I hope that helps out, Joshua. Thank you guys all for submitting, and that was the last video for today. So I'm sorry to say this episode is over, and if you liked what you saw or you learned something, you thought it was entertaining, please give me a like down below. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here and you liked what you saw. Hit the bell button if you've subscribed but you've liked what you saw again. Anyways, that's about it. Until next time, peace.